regardless of where you come in on what Aaron Rodgers had to say yesterday, his meandering hour-long conversation with Pat McAfee, one that started with kind of an airing of grievances that ended with him talking about how difficult it was to use the bathroom when he was in a 5-day darkness retreat. One thing sticks out to me from that interview yesterday. I wonder if Andrew Brandt agrees. MMQB columnist, Business of Sport podcast, longtime NFL executive, particularly with the Green Bay Packers. Andrew, it's great to have you. The one headline to me was, this thing is going to take a while, isn't it?
Yeah, always good to be with you, Andrew. Hope you're doing well. Yes. But for a moment, if we could, the one thing that just strikes me from the conversation yesterday that we all kind of assumed and everyone just kind of has already moved on. But let's just say it for clarity's sake. It's over.
Yeah.
With the Packers. I mean, that's the real headline. And I think people are kind of assuming that, and people are kind of like, yeah, I guess they're going to go to Jordan Love, and yes, time. But that was confirming. And it was not only confirming from Aaron's side, but more importantly, he felt it from the Packers side. They didn't kind of say it in those words, but he kind of really intimated that the Packers are ready. They're done. And that is a massive statement. 15 years, 18 years as starter. And, you know, personally, Andrew, as you mentioned, I was there. We drafted him. I was there as early part of his career. I went through the whole thing with Brett Favre, and Brett Favre complaining about sitting with his replacement every day for 3 years. Aaron Rodgers just sat with his replacement every day for 3 years. It's not a great thing to happen to anyone, but it did, and the symmetry is unbelievable. Now, Jordan Love ascends just like Aaron Rodgers did. First-round quarterback that sat in the bullpen for 3 long years and wondered if he ever was going to play. And now it's happening. So we now have to figure out what's next. And what is also amazing to me is that there appears to be, and I don't think this is going to change, only one suitor for Hall of Famer Aaron Rodgers. Everybody has filled the musical chairs. Jimmy Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr. They're all done. And these teams have all filled their seats. So we've got a negotiation where the Packers only have one suitor and the Jets, it seems, only have one target. That's what makes for a high-stakes negotiation where we're waiting for either side to blink.
Andrew, there are so many ways to go with this, and I would love to go down memory lane here with Favre, but I kind of am fascinated with the idea that the Packers, with the way they have structured this contract, and that was your specialty here, they have the ability to, in essence, squat on him. Now, it isn't ideal, and the idea that the full bonus doesn't kick in until September, you don't necessarily want to go that far down the road. But they have the ability here to basically tell the Jets, we're not giving them to you until you meet our price.
I was amused a year ago, Andrew, when he signed that contract, and many respected media and fans said, well, now the Packers and Rodgers are committed for 2-3 years. It looked at it as a 1-year, $42 million deal in 2022, and now we're at the pivot point. This contract was meant to be traded. It has an option clause that starts tomorrow but lasts until September. So any moment between March 17th and September 1st, the Packers could or could not exercise that option. That obviously is meant to transfer to another team at some point because the Packers aren't going to exercise that option, and it's going to transfer to, it seems, the Jets.
So what do you think they want?
First-round pick.
Think they're going to get it?
I think they're going to wait. Now, if they were satisfied with the trade compensation, this deal would be done. Obviously, it's not. Do I think they're going to get it? That's a tough one. I think they're going to get more than what's been offered. because leverage in any negotiation is determined by status quo. The party that is most comfortable with the status quo has the most leverage. The Packers have a starting quarterback. The Packers have Aaron's cap on their roster. The cap only goes up, not down, when they trade him. The Jets have no starting quarterback with no other options. So, and the Jets went and kissed the ring in Malibu, California, with all their brass. So it seems to me the Jets have a much more urgent need to do this. And it's like I said, it's a high-stakes game of negotiations. I am not, and all these, people asking me on my tweets on social media, I am not suggesting this goes on for months. I'm not suggesting this goes on after the draft. I am suggesting we're not going to see a trade anytime very soon. Ballpark, a week to 2 weeks, but every hour, every day, as you know so well, we have a frothing Jets nation wondering when this is happening. And I think that increases some pressure on the Jets. So I think the Packers will get more than they're asking for now. And then it becomes a question of whether they continue to hold out for what I think is a first-round pick. But maybe there's a compromise. Maybe it's a first round in 24. Maybe it's a conditional first, depending on how Aaron plays. All those kind of things can be in this as well.
I'm talking to Andrew Brandt. You can follow him on Twitter. He just mentioned the Twitter. Always a good follow at Andrew Brandt, BRANDT, the Business of Sports podcast, former Packers executive. Andrew, curious, just as a human being here, someone who knows Aaron, what did you think of that hour-long interview yesterday?
I'm kind of an unabashed fan of Aaron. I have been, because I'm always interested in people who are interesting.
Same.
And so many athletes. I'm not saying they're just duds, but they don't tell you anything. And not only that, but every appearance by Aaron on McAfee, people may not like it, people may criticize it, but he's open and honest, and you never see that in sports media. And I just think that's interesting to me. I could do without some of the details of the silent retreat.
Right,
but,
the bathroom breaks and all that, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it became clear that 2 years ago, as people know, Aaron's had grievances with the team about letting guys go. That never left, okay? That never left. The way they got rid of players and their attitude toward players, which is to get rid of them a year too early rather than a year too late, and what they've done in the past to his friends like Clay and Jordy and all the guys he was playing with. And he talked about my group on the scouting side, where we had John and Reggie and John Dorsey and John Schneider. That was the group that brought in Aaron Rodgers. That was the group that decided to pivot to Aaron from Brett. And we're all gone. We're all gone. And he doesn't feel, and he has never really felt the love from Gutekunst, Murphy, and the present administration. That, to me, came clear. Like, Aaron Rodgers was treated differently by a prior group in control in Green Bay. I saw it 2 years ago, and I thought that was remedied, but evidently not. So it's clear he's moving on. And again, now we get to the Jets.
What stood out to me was when he said, I was 90% retired when I went into the darkness, but then I come out, Andrew, and now I find out that they're telling people that they don't want me anymore. So to heck with you, in essence, cleaning that up. I'm going to go play to prove you wrong. And while I love the chip on the shoulder, and McAfee was joking about the chip stacking up on his shoulder, Andrew, it seems to me the wrong reasons to go play. I mean, spite can be a powerful motivator, very powerful motivator. But to go to New York, to take on all those expectations, maybe it raises his game to a level that we saw a couple of years ago when he won his MVPs, or as he called them, the COVID MVPs, which sounded odd. But I mean, it is a lot to take on. Because once you say you're thinking of retirement or that you're 90% retired, that generally means you're retired. And I just hope that he doesn't look back and say, I regret doing this out of spite, if spite truly is his motivation.
That's a good point. I think with Aaron, you don't know. I was a little bit, I didn't come away totally that. I mean, again, this sounds hokey, but I came away his mind being changed somewhat.
And maybe it isn't spite. Maybe it's just like, you know what, I do have it. And it comes from a positive place. Maybe I'm misreading it, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's some of both. And I think Aaron has extraordinary skills that haven't diminished. And now, again, the team was down last year. I understand that. But there's no doubt, you know, he's up there with the top quarterbacks. And he's got a suitor that, as I said, flew out and made their presentation to him. It's going to happen, right? It's going to happen. And I know Jets fans are at the finish line and they can't get the ball across the goal line at the 1 yard line. But now we're in a game of business and high stakes negotiations. Who will blink first? What is the blinking point? You know, I go back to a completely different situation, which got some negative connotations, of course, where the Texans made an admirable strategic decision last year. Before you could talk to Deshaun Watson, we had to pre-qualify your trade. Pre-qualify. And 4 teams agreed to 3 number 1 picks. And then they could talk to Watson. Now, you can blame all sides here. Why didn't the Packers do that? Why didn't the Jets do that before they talked to Aaron? Why didn't the Packers demand the Jets do that? Why didn't the Jets demand the Packers do that? Now it's all 2020. But this is we're in that situation because that didn't happen.
Andrew, real quick, because I want to get one Lamar Jackson question in here. Talking to Andrew Brandt, longtime Packer executive here and salary cap guy and Great Business of Sports podcast host as well, and law and professor, a man of many hats. Do you think, Andrew, that, and this is a hypothetical, it's almost unfair, but I'll ask it regardless. If Jordan Love had not been there, right, do you think they would have been done? Like, let's say they didn't have a good succession plan. Do you think that the current management is just done with him and they would have been happy to move on and now have to go find a quarterback? Or is this Jordan Love driven?
The latter. The Packers are a draft and develop team. I know so well. We do not attract big-time free agents for obvious reasons. We draft, we develop, we sign core players. That was my whole role, to get players early in their contract years, to lock them up long-term. They never get a sniff of free agency, as Aaron Rodgers never has had a sniff of free agency. They took Jordan Love to be the next guy, and we took Aaron Rodgers to be the next guy. And the only question was when, and now we have the when. So did they not draft? And people say they're going to trade Jordan Love. My God, they're not going to trade Jordan Love. They were never going to trade Jordan Love. He's the guy. And again, I spent 3 years of my life being asked everywhere I went, like, are you really going to go to Aaron Rodgers next? And you're not going to get some stopgap of Jeff Garcia, Kerry Collins, Chris Chandler. I said, no, Aaron Rodgers. And that's what they've been saying for 3 years. It's completely Jordan Love driven. They believe in their scouts, and this is the guy.
All right, on Lamar Jackson here. Let's go back and let's pretend, Andrew, because I feel like I could do an hour and a half on this one as well. But let's go back and pretend here that the numbers Lamar Jackson was tweeting about a couple of days ago, 133 over 3 guaranteed. And then if you believe other reports, whether it's our guys, NFL Network, Schefter as well, that, you know, with the injury guarantees, like for all intents and purposes, it was probably 177. Now, was it 177 over 3? I'm not sure. The contract, as you understand it, and what Lamar tweeted about and what has been reported, was that a good deal?
The problem with an offer of 133 over 3 is not the 133 over 3. It's the extra years that are non-guaranteed, and we don't need to even get in the whole Watson precedent. But if I was advising Lamar and that was the offer, 133, and then it goes up to 200-something with the non-guaranteed years, I would say back to the Ravens, I'll take the 133. Done. 43 a year, whatever it is. And that's the end of the contract. And I'll be a free agent at age 29, and I'll make twice that. So I don't know if that was offered. I think the Ravens would probably say no. But to me, all these agented players have taken the traditional structure, Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, about 1 or 2 years fully guaranteed, and then it goes to a team option situation. Lamar Jackson, the guy without an agent, seems to have been pushing the Watson precedent of a fully secured deal, and he's being blown back by the Ravens, who don't want to do that, but they have the ultimate leverage of attack. So if I were advising Jackson, I would say take the deal and make the Ravens cut it off after the guarantee. So they have the precedent of Kirk Cousins getting a 3-year guarantee. There's nothing new about that. I don't know if the Ravens would do that, but there's my idea for a compromise.
And then if you're Lamar, and for people at home saying, why would you take less money? Well, you're starting your clock to get to your next deal. You're taking your guarantee, you're locking in huge money, and then and look, bad things can happen, injuries can happen, sure. But you know that you're hitting free agency again before you hit 30.
Yeah. You know, Andrew, the best young quarterback contract to me, besides Watson, is not Mahomes. It's certainly not Josh Allen. It is Dak Prescott. Mm-hmm. 4 years, 160, and he's a free agent at age 29. When you look back at Dak Prescott's earnings, they're going to be much bigger than these long deals like Mahomes because of that, exactly what you just said.
Yeah, and look, for Lamar, for example, if he had taken that deal last year, and we don't know the full details. We can only speculate, and we can only try to make sense of tweets and people's reports here. But if he had taken that deal a year ago, right now, we'd be sitting here saying the Baltimore Ravens are 1 year away from having to redo his deal or figure out what to do to extend him. Right, to get towards another deal, you start that cash flow early, and as my guy Tom Pelissero has said repeatedly on NFL Network the last year, if he had an agent, and I respect Lamar's desire to do it by himself, no agent would have let him play for the numbers he played on the last 2 years. I mean, look what Kyler did and Eric Burkhardt did, basically sending a ransom note the Monday of the Combine last year, as they were open for a new deal. They got that new deal. Not saying Lamar should have held out 2 years ago, but the time to put your foot down, to draw that line in the sand, was 2 years ago. And then you get your big money flowing, and then you're looking at a second deal now. Regardless, Andrew, I appreciate your insight here. It's great stuff. Happy to walk down memory lane there with Brett Favre and now Aaron Rodgers. We're seeing it again. Good luck on your college basketball bracket if you're filling one out.
Thanks so much. My team, unfortunately, had a down year, Villanova. But appreciate it. And in addition to all my little gigs here, I now do these reels on Instagram, so people can see the reels at Andrew Brandt too, all about these things.
Beautiful. And
Thanks,
we have the IG on the screen right now, watching on the TV on Roku. Andrew, appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
Andrew Brandt, everybody.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.